Good afternoon, guys, and today we'll do the recap of what we did in the last class. So let me go through at what we studied in the last class. We talk about manual and a computerized data maintenance system. We talked about different components of database management system, types of DBMS, and how to create a blank database in Microsoft Access. So let me revise the difference between computerized and manual data maintenance. There are certain parameters on the basis of which we are going to make comparison between manual and computerized data maintenance system. First is size. Manual system is limited by a physical space because you have files, you have folders, you need cabinets to place the files, and you need a large amount of a storage space. Whereas in a computerized system, you can hold large amount of data in a small flash drive or a portable hard disk. So it's a big difference. There is no need to, find a big room or a big almirah or a cabinet to place your data. You can store in a small flash drive or a memory card. If we talk about speed, the speed of finding records in a manual system is slow as compared to a speed of finding records in a computerized system. In a computerized system, you can easily find a record with the help of, a search option there. You can just open a record, you search for a specific entry, you will see your record. Whereas in a physical system, you have to look for a specific file, then you have to find a specific record, then look for a specific entry. Data analysis in a manual system, it's very difficult or it's very time consuming, whereas in a computerized system you can easily analyze your data, right, with the help of certain charts and graphs. Update record, if you have to update some information, updating a record is, it's a tedious job and it takes time to update any record in a physical system. Whereas a computerized system, you can easily update any record. Also you can maintain track of the activities you are doing there, like, if I update a particular phone number to a new number, then I will see a log in my system that at what time I updated the entry and what was the previous entry. Similarly, now we have data sorting can be done very easily in a computerized system. You can perform ascending and descending order sorting of your data. Also you can set a specific criteria for a sorting. Let's say I want all record to be sorted on the basis of the salary of the employees. If we have a 10 employees, I want data to be sorted on the basis of the salary, the highest salary first come, then so on. Whereas in a physical system, it takes time. Safety, in a physical system, record can be lost or misfiled and make it hard to find them. Whereas in a computerized system, records are safely stored and they are available whenever you need it. You can lock your data with a password. You can encrypt your information. Security, the only security would be locking up the records. Whereas in a computerized system, you can use password and you can make a key to access your data, right? So we will find there are many differences, but computerized system is better than a physical system. But if you have a large amount of data, then we will prefer to use a computerized data maintenance system. Next, we have different components of DBMS. uh, we have software component. Software is kind of program that you install on your bare metal hardware or a on a computer machine to manage your data. In our case, we have Microsoft Access as a software that we install on our computer to deal with the database. Hardware is a bare metal hardware, or you can say a computer machine or a server where you install your software and deal with your database. Next, we have data. Data is the crucial component of any database management system Without data, there is no term called database. So you need data for a database. Without data, there is no database. Next, we have procedure. Procedure basically is the way of storing your data in a system. Procedure tells how you will store your data in a particular database management system, right? Like you have to store data in the form of tables, and then in the tables we have to create different columns, and for each column we have to specify different conditions. We have to define the primary key for our database. Next, we have database access language. Database access language tells us, how to interact with the database. You have to write certain queries to retrieve some information from your database. I have to store some data. I'll write a query to store some data. If I have to update a record, I'll write an update query. So this is the language being used to interact with the database management system. Here we call it SQL queries, structured query language. Now to process these queries, we need a kind of processor or a program that will interpret our query to a system. So we need a query processor. Query processor accept our query and convert into a language so that a database management system and can understand it, what we want to do. If you write a wrong query, query processor will tell you that this is a wrong query. Please check the syntax, or there is some technical error in the query. So accordingly, you will modify and update your query. Then query processor will compile your query and process it, and tell the database that what you want to do. You want to update a record, or whether you want to retrieve a record. Whatever you want to do, it will tell you. Next, we have runtime database manager. Runtime database manager basically becomes active when you are transiting with your database. Let's take an example of a ATM machine. When you insert your card or ATM or debit card in the machine, your processor, your database manager will become active, and you insert your password. You are in a session, and this run session is being managed by a database manager. Database manager will keep track of all the activities you are performing in your session, whether you are changing your password, whether you are withdrawing your money or you are depositing your money. You are checking the history of your transactions. So all these things is being catered by a database manager. Database manager update you, and it will update your records in a system. And this database manager will become active when you are interacting with the database. When there is interaction, then the database manager will become a runtime database manager. Next, we have data manager. Data manager is the whole responsible thing for a data. And data manager is responsible for taking backup of your data, for updating your records, right, and creating a schedule for your data, and remove the cache from your database so that your query will become faster. So database manager, runtime database manager, will interact with the data manager and tell that this user has done the work in this session. Please update the record. Then data manager will update the record accordingly. Sometimes what happens when you are transiting with the database, and in between there is a transaction failure, or maybe there is a power cut and you are in the middle of your transaction. So database manager, the runtime database manager will update the data manager. Please roll back the query, roll back the transaction, because this transaction is aborted. So data manager will roll back the query, and it will not update your database. Next, we have data dictionary. Data dictionary is something that tells the meaning of the data you are going to store in your database. You have different columns, and every column has certain conditions. So with the help of data dictionary, you can find the meaning of a particular column, the size of a column, the conditions you set it there, the primary keys or foreign keys in your database, the entire schema of your database. You can find all these information in the data dictionary. Next, we have report writer. Report writer is used to create or to generate a different report out of your stored data. It's a ready-made tool available in your database management system, with the help of which you can generate different graphs, different charts, or tabular format data for record purpose, or sometimes you have to make decisions on the basis of certain data. So with the help of report writer, you can easily extract data and make different charts and graphs to make decisions. Next, we have different types of DBMS. We categorize DBMS into four types. First is hierarchical model, second is a network model, third is relational model, and fourth is object-oriented model. So let me show you something here. Uh, I'll show you. See, in this diagram, you see it's a hierarchical model where we have a college, and under college we have department and infrastructure, and under department you have courses, teachers, and student, and under course you have theory and a lab. So if you see, college is the single root or a single parent. It's like a tree structure. In a tree, you have a single root, and then you have different branches of tree. Similarly, in hierarchical model, you have one root. One root is called a single parent for catering all the branches. So this model is called a hierarchical model. Next, we have a network model. In network model, we have more than one parent. If you see in this diagram, A, B1 and B2, B1 and B2 are the child of A, and C1 and C2 are the child of B1. Similarly, if you see here, C2 is, a child of B1 and B2. So the parent of C2 is B1 and B2. It means there are more than one parent for a single child. C2 has a two parent. It has a B1 and B2. C3 has a B2 parent. If you have more than one parent, then it becomes a network model. Next, we have object-oriented model. In object-oriented model, we identify different objects we have in our database. Like our in student database, we have student as a object or a entity, and we have different attributes for the student, like student name, student ID, student address, student age, etc. Similarly, for teacher, we have teacher name, teacher address, teacher ID, teacher course, etc. So these types of system is called object oriented model. In this, we identify object, and then we identify different attributes of that object, and accordingly we will store data. Next, we have relational model. In relational model, we establish a relation between two or more tables. If you see in this picture, we have three tables, and we have a relation defined here. Student ID, name, and age in the first table. Second table has a ID, name, and a teacher. And third table are called a relational table that identify the relation between these two tables. If you see, student ID is the primary key in this table, is also here, and subject ID here is also available here. So the primary key of this table becomes a foreign key here, and similarly the primary key of this table becomes a foreign key here. So this table has marks. Let's say if I want to see the marks of student ID number 1 icon. So what I'll do, I'll look for a particular record for icon with the help of ID. That ID is linked in this particular table as a foreign key. In the foreign key, corresponding marks are 98. So I can check that whether what is the marks of icon with the help of this relation. So relation, help us to extract data from two or more tables. And for establishing a relation between two tables, we need a third table called a relation table. So whenever we have to create a relational model, we have to define a third table to establish a relation between these two tables. I think it's clear to you now. Now let me go back to the previous screen. Yes. So now we will know how to create a blank database in Microsoft Access. First, you need to start Microsoft Access. You go to Start button, Click on Microsoft Access, or if you can search for it, then you open a blank database like this and click on create button. When you click on create button, your database will be created, and by default you will see this particular screen. And in this screen you see, you have an option to create tables. So you will create a tables from this create group. This is a group, create group, and in the create group you have tables. So this view, this view is called a data sheet view, because you have rows and columns here and you see the different cells. It's similar to a Microsoft Excel. So this view is called a data sheet view. You can toggle between different views. If you see at the bottom, there are option to toggle two different views, data sheet view and a design view. And this is how we create a blank database. First we create a table, then we keep on adding different columns, and we define the type of data we are going to store in a particular column. If it's a short text, we'll choose short text. If it's a number, we'll choose number. If it's a currency, we'll choose currency, and so on. So guys, if you have any difficulty, to understand any point, and you want to ask something about this particular session, please feel free to write to me. You can WhatsApp me. You can also type in a comment box at the video channel that we shared with you. All right. So hope you are enjoying this session. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful day.